So this week's little trio is, well, as you can see from the title, it's in practically every single fragrance we've ever had. But I'm trying to pick more prominent smelling with this now. Now patchouli can be a struggle sometimes. It can be very grainy, it can be very green, it can be a bit on the sweet side, it can be quite sandy, which I really enjoy. It can be very overpowering. It can be like your old kind of hippie shop kind of smell, very earthy. It can be a little bit damp. It's a note that can be over a million different things, and I must admit it's not a note I always smell when it's there. Yeah, it's a bit of a general note, isn't it? As well as being in everything, it can do an awful lot of stuff. So first up is from Olfactive O, and that's called Woody. Now this one is a very elegant kind of classy fragrance. Now it kind of predominantly goes round the cedar, and there's a nice hint of leather. It's and the patchouli in it. I don't think it's listed actually, but to me it's very prominent. Leans on the kind of greener, not too green, but it adds a bit of green, kind of earthy kind of texture in there. It's quite grainy as well in this. Now Woody's predominantly obviously all about them woods and whatnot, and it's very classy, sophisticated, kind of smooth, elegant fragrance. It does not smell like Straight to Heaven from Killian, but that's the one it kind of reminds me of. That's the first thing that comes into my head. Now this one, obviously, it's more about the woods than the patchouli. It's not a particularly boozy one, and that leather kind of adds a smoother, sort of different texture to it. But to me, it's all about the cedar and the patchouli, and it is really a very beautiful fragrance actually. Underrated, not really spoken about. I don't own this one because I only need so many fragrances like this, but I do think it's, you know, it's a kind of suited up fragrance. It's off out. It's if you want that kind of woody patchouli, you know what I mean, that smell, that kind of dressed up guy, you know, a little bit kind of 2000s about it. It's very nice. So that's Woody from Olfactive O. Next up is from Matti Ud7, and that's Ud7. Now again, you could pick millions of fragrances, but I'm trying to pick ones that are particularly interesting. And Ud7 it's 7 elements that make up like an oud accord. So all these things together make the fragrance obviously smell like oud. Now patchouli is one of the more predominant notes in it, and that adds the kind of grounded, earthy feel about patchouli that obviously we get, and it's extremely nice. There's all sorts of elements in it. I'm not going to go through them all, but there's, you know, it's a kind of greener. I think there's cypriol in it. There's the more woody elements and things like that. I think there might be argwood in it, giving it that whole feel. But each of these notes go together. Now it's quite hard to pick out certain things, but as we know, when you can smell patchouli, you can smell patchouli, and it's a very key part of it. So the fragrance itself is quite a big one. It's not shy. It's another one. This is probably a running theme with patchouli. It's a kind of dressed up, classy, elegant one, and without the patchouli this would miss that kind of more earthy, interesting element to it. So again, I'm not going to waffle on loads and loads. I don't ever recommend stuff, but for interest, if you're not the biggest like oud fan in the world, this one is so cleverly done, and it's not particularly I'd say challenging or anything. It's a good one to go for. So that's Ud7 from Matti Ud7. Finally, the designer was quite easy really. Out of all the designers with patchouli in, I thought one that really sticks with me is Greedy O. Now this is mainly about this kind of musky rosy feel, but the patchouli is there, and again it's kind of the grainy texture of it. It's a little bit sharp. It's not so earthy this, it's more kind of dry, not gritty, but you know what I mean, that kind of almost musky patchouli. It has that same kind of effect, doesn't it? And that mixing with the musks and the rose and the other notes in this give this very natural, like I always say, it's like there, look, a filthy polluted stream. It's like a nice stream that has rose petals flowing down it, like on a warm kind of chilled day. It's got this kind of almost serenity about it, and it's very relaxing, it's very fresh, and again I think that patchouli adds that freshness to it, and it's one of them few fragrances that's really quite patchouli heavy that I really enjoy. No more to say about it, not going to waffle on. So that's Greedy O from Dior. So yeah, hopefully a very brief one this time. Taking the dog, this is round my neck of the woods, this is not at my sister's, so I brought him up here for a change. Anyway, we're not tuning in for that. So patchouli, yeah, what's your favourite sort of patchouli? I mean, I didn't put a kind of sweeter chocolatey one in there. There's greats like Noir de Noir, isn't there? That's very patchouli dominant. It can be put in for so many different reasons. There's no kind of deserty, sandy ones in there, and again it can add that just beautiful feel to it all. So which one do you prefer? Do you have any favourite patchouli scents, or do you really struggle with it? Did you used to wear them patchouli back in the day, back in the 70s and that? I wasn't alive. but yeah, I mean, I burn it. I've got like patchouli incense and stuff, like a powder stuff you stick on the burner and that. Alright folks, thanks, bye.